And as promised, today we're going to be talking about pediatrics. I think this place is so cool. I want to just introduce you to a good friend of mine. So here is, okay, hold on, let me rotate. This is my friend Iris.
Hi.
She is the owner of, hey Javi, what's up? So yeah, she is the owner of Yout'n Action. Could you show us a little bit around?
Sure. Okay. Do I flip it?
Hey, what's up, Ashley? Thank you for joining. We're gonna just show you guys around a little bit. Wait, I put something there. There, now we can flip.
Okay, so this is our gym area. It's not your typical pediatric setting, but all of our clients are pediatrics, but this is not what your typical OT setting in pediatrics would normally look like. Do you want me to show them like the...
Yeah, let's show them around.
So this is our gym area where we do all the exercising, and then
The muscle center.
This is more of our fine motor room where we do our sitting down activities.
Very, very cool.
Now this room is in renovation, so it's not yet done. And I think that's it.
Very, very cool. This is such a unique setting, guys, which is why I wanted to interview Iris as well. Let me go ahead and put the camera up. Hold on, so we can continue with the interview. All right, let's get closer. Okay. All right. So, Iris, can you tell us a little bit about your transition from being a COTA or an occupational therapy assistant to being an occupational therapist registered?
Yes, definitely. So as a COTA, I graduated from Kaiser, and I was a COTA for about 9 years, and there was no such thing as a bridge program back then, so I had to get my bachelor's, and I got it in something where I was going to learn things that I can incorporate into OT. So I decided to get my bachelor's in exceptional student education, and then I got my master's in OT at Barry.
Okay, very cool. So the reason why I asked, I know that there are some people in the group that are either debating between getting their occupational therapy assistant degree, and there are some people in the group that are wanting to transition from being an occupational therapy assistant to doing a bridge program into becoming an OTR. So you went to Barry. How was that?
Like the difference?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the schedule is completely different. And I think in general, it was Kaiser was very accelerated, so nothing really stuck. But I think that in going to Barry, everything was more in debt. So while I was working here, I had my own business, so I was doing this while going to grad school, so I liked the fact that I could also incorporate everything that I would learn.
So you found then, I'm assuming then, that Barry was a program that fitted you.
Yes.
And your needs.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So I think that that's just so important because, for example, I went to Florida International University, which is a very typical 2.5-year program, master's program that's full-time. You don't really have, I don't think I would have had the time to do something like this, so So I am assuming that one of your messages to the pre-OTs is to find something that suits them in that sense if they want to continue working.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have any advice in terms of that aspect of things and programs. for
Yeah, I mean, every
POTs.
program is different. For instance, Barry is every other weekend, and it's full time on the weekend. So, and it's a lot of online, like online assignments and online classes. So, you only really have to go to school Saturday and Sunday every other weekend, and it's from like 9 till 5 on both days. But it gives you the opportunity to work still, like throughout the week. You just have to be on top of things.
So, and you know, programs like this then would be good, not even for just people that need to work, which is all of us, but even for parents, I'm assuming that maybe have little ones and, you know,
Yeah.
the thought of, like, were there a lot of students in your program that were parents as well, I'm assuming?
Yeah, there was a few.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, I am trying to show them too, you know, like a little bit of the different type of settings, which is also why we're here. And what made you want to get into pediatrics?
Well, I've always known that I wanted to work with kids, but initially, when I mean, I always had my mindset on kids, honestly. Even trying out like all the other settings, I still loved pediatrics. I loved how motivated they are. I loved that it wasn't repetitive. It's never boring. You're always gonna have a different session with your clients. And there's just so many different things that you can do with them. Even online, like you go online and there's so many different activities that you can find to work with your clients.
That's really cool. Excuse me. So what is one of the things that what is your most favorite thing about working with kids?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I like challenging them. 'Cause
Yeah, you do.
I know that you can. Like, there's no limits to what they can do.
I love it.
And then it's a challenge, so I love that.
If you guys want to see how she challenges her kids, I really encourage you to follow her on Instagram. It's Youth, YOUTH, the letter N, Action Fit. And she is on Instagram there. She has a bunch of awesome, cool videos of what she's doing here. And it's, like she said, it's not really your very typical setting. And I just kind of also wanted to show you guys the possibility of what you can do in pediatrics, because I think also a lot of times, and tell me if you would agree, that when it comes to pediatrics, a lot of people just think that, oh, you're only working on like fine motor. Or
yeah,
like
they
it's
skip
a
off.
lot of tabletop activities,
Yes.
you know, and that even maybe like the PTs would maybe be working like on balance.
Or
So-
not even, but like sometimes
Yeah.
I've seen where they don't even incorporate gross motor activities or strengthening or any of that. And not only that, but I've also seen that they do the same exercises all the time, same activities, like just weight bearing on a peanut ball, which is fine because there's a lot of benefits to it, but there's so many other exercises that you can do that targets the same muscle group.
And you know, this is also why I want you guys to follow her. I like, as I put in the Facebook group, I used to work with her, so she played a huge role in how I approach pediatrics my first year of practice, because I remember setting up those obstacle courses with you, you know, and one day we took over the whole gym, and it just really got me to think about being creative when working with kids, and it was just so much fun. And so I think that following people that are doing something a little bit more outside the norm and pushing the kids to do more than what they can even think is possible, more than what their parents think is possible, is of the essence. And she has some, like, if you want to see kids getting challenged or get some ideas for yourself for your pediatric rotations as future students, or like see some things that you can be doing, like, great page to follow, and person to contact as well. But yeah, so can you tell us, you gave us a tour, and I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about Yout'n Action and what, what made you want to start it, all that good stuff. Like, give us, like, I guess, like, the history.
How we started.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
The Yout'n Action story.
So, I was working in pediatrics. That's where I met Jessica, and all my life, I've always competed and been into fitness and, gymnastics, CrossFit. I've been big weightlifting, cheerleading, you name it. And it got to a point where I knew that fitness in general, exercising, had a lot of benefits, even for typical individuals, like myself or anyone. And it got to a point where I was treating kids and I was making them do CrossFit workouts. Until my boss was like, okay, do you want to start a group, And then I thought about mixing up both of my passions, working with kids with special needs through therapy and fitness. And I decided the opportunity came my way, and then I put both of them together, and then here we are.
That is awesome. That is really, really cool. Is there anything else that you want to say about Yout'n Action, or any cool stories that you want to share that can, I guess, give our viewers a little bit of insight of what it's like to be either, just be here.
Okay. Well, right now we have normal adaptive fitness classes, and we have adaptive fitness trainers that work with those groups. And the majority of them are in small groups, so anywhere from 1 to 4 kids at the same time per coach. And then on top of that, we started the occupational therapy side, where it's adaptive fitness-based occupational therapy, and that's where we work on the child's goals through exercise. So that's where we're different than any other setting. And right now, we also have speech therapy now.
Oh, wow.
We're starting that too.
You see, it's all intertwined. Do not forget about your speech friends. Do not forget about your PT friends, because it all goes in collaboration. Okay, so I have another question for you. What would you say, because, since we're talking to a lot of pre-OTs, I know that one of the biggest concerns that a lot of students have is the debt that goes into going into occupational therapy school, and if it's even something that is a career that they may even want to invest in. Would you say that, how has occupational therapy been worth it for you? Why or why not?
Yeah, no, it definitely has been worth it. I've come this far. If you like it, get into it, but make sure that it's something that you want to do for the rest of your life, I would definitely recommend, before going to school and starting grad school, or a COTA program, to get the experience, contact different settings and see if you can get some hours in, volunteer for them. That way you're 100% sure it's something that you want to do. Once you're in school, I would also suggest that you, to not forget why you initially started, and just remember what your goals are the entire time, because it's not easy, it's gonna get hard. And also manage your time wisely. That's something that you're gonna have to learn, because if not, you're not gonna make it through.
Which I think is one of the things that they want to know, because you obviously, you've done a lot. You started a business, you went from being a COTA to an OTR, So how did you manage your time? Like, what are like, yeah.
I mean, luckily I was at the Berry program, so it was easier to manage my time, especially with here, managing a business, and then having time to do schoolwork. But I would pretty much like go to Barnes and Nobles and just anywhere and like study till like midnight, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I had to do, like it had to be done.
Yeah, I think, and every program is different, as we've already stated. And what's interesting though is I don't want to make it seem like grad school is easier. That's definitely not the word. But me personally, I feel like I actually pulled more all-nighters as an undergraduate, and just I don't know if it was because I didn't know how to manage my time, or because a lot of the classes that I was taking didn't really interest me. We were talking about taking English 101 as a freshman, and then you have to take whatever, it just doesn't interest you. And so I don't know if that played a role in my not really wanting to,
It's different.
Step up my game.
It's completely different when it's something that you want to do and you are passionate about.
Which is why when I was a grad student, it's so funny. Like, I went from my undergraduate GPA, guys, and I still got into OT school, was, I'm not joking, a cumulative 2.7. Okay, but I went to grad school and it was something that I was interested in. We're talking about OT, and it was what I really was passionate about, what I wanted to pursue, and I graduated with a 3.65. So it just goes to show that when you're following your passions, like, you're just kind of more bound to succeed. And just follow your passions, I would say, and make sure that this is the right investment for you. And manage your time wisely, because I think it can get tough, but at the same time, I don't know how else to say it either, it gets better.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, it's like a...
Yeah, and the beginning is always going to be tough because it's something new and it's a lot to handle, but what you get used to it.
Yeah, you do. And for any of you that are got recently accepted, and are freaking out about starting a new program come August or September, you guys, I promise you're going to do fine, because a lot of these programs, they accept people that are already bound to succeed based on their academic past. And not only that, they're bound to succeed because if they're choosing something that they're truly interested in, and they put in the work, that's really where it's at, is you putting in the work. And they want to see you succeed. They don't want you to fail. I feel like it's less likely for you to fail out of grad school in a way.
Yeah.
Because like the majority of people, as much as they have to study, like my experience was that people were still passing. It's not that it was easier, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know how else to say it, and I hope that makes sense. So what is the biggest piece of advice that you have for the pre-OTs that are watching?
Best piece of advice? Well, what I said earlier, definitely. Just
Yeah.
remember why you're starting
That's
the
huge.
program, and just keep that in mind every time that you're having a hard time, or thinking twice about the program or completing it. Just think about why you started it, and then keep that in mind throughout your whole experience.
Cool. And okay, actually, I'm starting to think a little bit. One thing that we didn't cover, but I would love for them to know, is what makes pediatrics, before we sign off, what makes pediatrics different from other settings, you would say?
I mean, I personally think it's one of the most challenging settings. You're not only working with the kids, you're working with the entire family sometimes. and it's challenging, you know? I mean, you're working with a kid that's aggressive, and I mean, we have a lot of kids that are aggressive here, so, you know, there's not much you can do other than try to, like, make sure that they don't.
Oh no! Sorry about that, guys. Well, but we're still going. We're still going. There, I think we're still rolling, right? Yeah, we are. Okay. Okay, so you were talking about how some of the kids can get aggressive.
Yeah, you know, you're working with kids that might be impulsive and aggressive, so there's only so much you can do with those clients.
Oh my goodness. There.
There you go. What else? And yeah, it's just challenging overall.
I agree. I definitely agree. That is a little bit different because, yeah, in other settings you have to deal with, like, for example, in inpatient, I work at Mercy Hospital, and I still a lot less rarely need to deal with the families, but I still need to interact with some of the family members because they'll either be in the room when I pick them up, or, you know, they want me to contact a family member in order to give caregiver training, and that's part of what we have to offer in inpatient. So that family circle and that family connection is definitely very, you know, I would say universal, because when as an OT you're always dealing with other clinicians, other people on the insurance side, the families, whether it's parents or whether it's, in a lot of my cases, is actually their adult children, because I work with older adults. So yeah, and but I don't usually, you know, in my personal setting in inpatient rehab, because I see people who have gotten maybe you know, a fractured hip or a total knee replacement. I don't get that many elderly patients that are aggressive. It's not to say that we don't get them, because we do, and, you know, we'll get older patients that maybe have dementia. But in the peds world, it just reminds me of my very first exposure to peds. I don't think I ever told you this story, but this was my very first time observing I was a pre-OT, and I go observe pediatric OT because I wanted to do peds, and I was obsessed with wanting to do peds, and that's what I wanted. And my very first day, one of the OTs, the OT that was there, I kid you not, the kid got aggressive. And, you know, I mean, they had to restrain the kid because, you know, the OT could have gotten hurt. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, guys, I don't know if you know, but I am really small. Like, a lot of the kids are bigger than me. So, yeah. I was like, what am I going to do?
We have kids that are, you know, 14 years old, but they're double my size. So,
yeah.
And aggressive. So, you know, in those cases, what are you going to do? There's only so much you can do, and that's where it gets challenging. And also, I would say, like, finding the balance between making your session challenging, but you want them to have fun too, or else they're not going to want to come back. So it definitely is, I would say, one of the most challenging settings.
So, and then how would you say, because I'm sure that now they're also wondering, like, how do we deal with these aggressive behaviors? Like, and that's stuff that you guys are going to learn in OT school and throughout your clinical rotations. Yeah, how do you deal with those?
Honestly, just trial and error with different things. In some cases, yeah, some things that you use with certain clients won't work with other clients, so it's always different. You know, we've done behavior charts for those who understand, you know, everything on the chart. We've gone just using positive reinforcement. Sometimes just telling them, you know, hands down, use soft hands. Yeah, or, I mean, some of them get aggressive because they're trying to get out of the activity that you're making them do. So then sometimes you just have to work through it and kind of just redirect the aggression. Sometimes even just ignoring it, which I know it's really hard sometimes, but.
You know, and this is why I think, okay, so I don't know if you guys watched last week's live, and it was my friend Huang, who is a certified hand therapist, was there, and we mentioned peds, and she was like, she said it takes a certain type of person to do peds, and if you're not that type of person, you may be doing the child a disservice. You know, if you don't like dealing with, the thought of dealing with those sort of stuff, already pushes you away, I think, then, you know, it may be that another setting may be different for, better fit for you. And I encourage you to observe and learn about as many settings as possible. You know, she was made for this. You look at her videos and you see how I've seen how she interacts with the kids. She is just so passionate and has a way with them, and they listen to her because of the rapport she's able to build, and that's really where it's at, you know, is building rapport with the kids. And
it's in any setting.
Yeah, any setting, correct. Yeah, any setting, any setting. So yeah, any last words before we sign off, or?
Thank you, guys.
Please go follow her. Again, I am going to be putting the Instagram handle and the Facebook handle on the page, on the group, sorry. And show her some love. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll send her the message, or you can message her on also the Instagram page that I'll be posting. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great day. Bye.